Hello, my name is Andy and I am the Village Idiot, and welcome back to the bedroom. It's time for the Parish Noticeboard. This is the April 25th edition. Okay, I have three things I want to talk about this week, and the first thing is to do with the 750 subscriber live stream. You'll remember last week I announced that that's what the idea of mine was, to do a live stream question and answer session. And I announced last week it's going to happen at some point, and now I know when it's going to happen. It's going to come this Wednesday evening. This coming Wednesday, I shall do the live stream session between the hours of, I'm thinking around about 7:30 to 8:30, maybe a little longer. But I will make a separate post on my Village Idiot page, and I might even do a little short on YouTube as well, just to remind people that it's coming up. But it's definitely going to be this Wednesday night around about 7:30. Right, moving on. The second thing I'd like to talk about, if you could remember the Parish Noticeboard from a couple of weeks ago, I was talking about hiring a car and going somewhere that I'd never been before. Well, that is now a reality. I'll be going down to Kent in a few weeks' time. So expect to see some villages, some parishes that are down south. I'm going to initially go to the district of Thanet, which is, I'll put a map somewhere here in the video to show you where that is. There are 11 parishes in Thanet. I'm going to cover all of those, and on the way down I'm going to try and cover a couple of villages off the motorway. I won't tell you where those are, but I do have 3 particular villages in mind. And then on the way back up, I shall do either another entire district, one that's quite small, or another couple of villages when I come back up from Kent. So yeah, in a few weeks' time, expect to see some places that are certainly not up here in the north, much further down south. Okay, the last thing I'd like to talk about is something I promised some of the people who have been watching my East Riding of Yorkshire videos. I've uploaded 3 of them now. There's another one to come next week, which is, it's edited and it's ready to go, but I have a couple of other places to put it first. Now, the villages I'm talking about in question here are Swinefleet and Reedness. Now, if you remember the Swinefleet video, if you've watched it, thank you. If you remember the Reedness video, I put that up a couple of days ago. You'll recall that in them, I'm just in the main village. Now, if you look at the map, Swinefleet and Reedness are very close to the Ouse. In fact, they're on the banks of the Ouse. But if you look at the parish map, from north to south, the parish goes like this, with the village at the top, and then all this space is like fields. If you look at a satellite map, it looks like fields to the south of the main villages. Now, in Swinefleet's case, that's called the Common, and I didn't go down there when I was filming, but I did promise the people that I would talk about it on this week's Parish Noticeboard, and the reason for that is because of Swinefleet Peat Works. Now, confusingly, the Peat Works is not in Swinefleet, even though it's called Swinefleet Peat Works. It actually sits in the parish of Reedness, but it's right on the border. So a quick bit of information about the Peat Works. They're 3 miles to the south of Swinefleet. They've been there since 1886, and they only ceased production in the year 2000. So throughout their existence, peat was taken from the moors where it was milled and bagged, and then taken to a wharf on the River Ouse. Now, running from the mill to the River Ouse was a tramway, and in the early days this was operated by horse and dray until the 1950s, when diesel locomotives took over. There was also something called the Axholme Joint Railway, which also linked to the mill, and we'll be seeing this when we do the parish of Garthorpe and Fockerby when we start doing North Lincolnshire. Now, these days the Peat Works stands redundant. It's just a load of derelict buildings. But that hasn't stopped companies trying to use them for different purposes, and one in particular has angered the residents of Swinefleet, and that is 4R. It's a Nottingham based company that would like to use the Peat Works as like a bio-solid storage facility. Now, obviously this has angered some Swinefleet residents, and if you look in the video, I think I may have captured some of the signs that were up around the village that say no to 4R at the Peat Works. So 4R's plans were rejected, and in the appeal they also lost that as well on narrow grounds. The MP for Brigg and Goole still thinks that they can be overturned, so Swinefleet still has the problem of a potential biosolid treatment plant at the old Peat Works. I know this is the kind of thing I wouldn't normally put in the parish notice board, but I did promise the Swinefleet residents this, because 172 parishes in the East Riding of Yorkshire, it would take me well over a year to get to this if I tried to include it in the roundup video. So I figured, seeing as I didn't go to it in the video, that I would mention it at this point rather than having to wait all that amount of time. And as ever, we finish with news on the coming week. Now, it's actually quite good that I'm talking about the East Riding of Yorkshire, because I'm coming up that way again next week. On Tuesday, I'm going to hit some more villages on the outskirts of Gaul. I'm going to go to Pollington and Gowdall in the East Riding. I'm also going to come across the border into Selby as well, to do the likes of Heck and Hensel, and there was another one, Bolm I should be doing as well. So I shall hit those 5 villages for certain next week. I also want to come back into Doncaster at some point again next week as well. There are 2 parishes which I've been putting off forever in Doncaster, which I really do need to get sorted out, so I'll attempt to do those as well. But you'll be pleased to know that Barnsley is now finished. The Penistone video, that's going up later today. That's the last one in Barnsley, so all you Barnsley folk out there, get excited. Your district is finished. The last one is going up today. Apart from that, that's pretty much going to do it for this week's edition of the Parish Noticeboard, and I will see you next week. I've been the Village Idiot, and I am out.